Hello everyone! Chaos magic is something that I use extensively in my practice, and it has been brought to my attention that despite writing about it in books, well, books to do with demonology, so not really books to do with chaos magic, I have never actually talked about its methods on my channel. So this is the video in which I do, and more specifically, in which I talk about sigil magic. So first of all, chaos magic is really the either lazy or non-dogmatic magician's magic, as it is a system that's not a system at all. It is a system of exploration and of coupling together anything that works for you. It encourages you to take from other traditions to break down their systems into like the smallest common denominator and adopting that in your practice however you like. As such, people that deal with primary just chaos magic tend to be very chaotic or unusual in their own workings. It is not uncommon for people to try and see, hey, if worshipping a deity works, would worshipping a cartoon character work as well? Can I turn my art into something that generates specific energy or spell work for me? Can I just take the symbolism of this place and then break it down and combine it with the symbolism of this place? Would that work for me? It is a lot of experimentation. It's a lot of freedom, and quite oftentimes it is a lot of very toolless work that doesn't really fall into any specific category. Therefore, it is easy to pick up and adopt. It is a lot of people's entry point to magic. And sigils come out of chaos magic. It is just one of those things that people were experimenting about, and as such then written their own books on the subjects and on what they have found. I will be talking a bit about the regular way of doing sigils, and then I will be talking a bit about how I also employ sigils that don't fall into that regular way, because once again, this is experimentation's key. Everything's free real estate. Do whatever you want, figure out what works, write down the results, build your practice. It do just be like that. And in mood, in a tribute to that, I suppose, I went with slightly chaotic haircut and with slightly chaotic makeup. I don't know how well that came off. Whoever can notice the difference can notice the difference. If you can't, then perfect. Because I slightly overdid it with the eyeshadow and then I tried to rub it off because I looked like I escaped a loony asylum and that wasn't quite the mood that I was going for. Anyway, so the regular sigil method is to take a sentence of what you want to be true, to happen. That sentence has to be made in A, present tense, B, it cannot include negatives. Your brain won't react well to words of not, no, shouldn't, and so on and so forth. It's better to exclude that and to try and form the sentence in only a positive manner. Now, mind you, the way that sigils work is it also requires forgetting your intention between when you effectively made that spell and activated it. So think about goals that you don't like urgently need when you're creating a sigil. I am gonna give you an example. So this is my sentence. I wanted to make something nonsensical, and you are actually encouraged to practice with things that are, well, rather with no emotional attachment to you or of no benefit to you. Like, you wouldn't start practicing it in life and death situation. You would practice on something like, I am seeing a woman wearing red shoes walking down the street. Like, that is the example that a lot of people start like building their practice with. It is something simple, something that you know, you don't urgently need nothing is hanging on this. This can be just its own experiment. And I went with a similar sentence, just in, well, in a tribute to that kind of simplicity. Again, if you're wondering how can you check the results of something that you don't remember because part of the working is to forget it, you write it down somewhere that you have done this. You just don't check the notebook that you wrote it down in until like after activating your sigils a lot later and then like seeing what happens and then flipping through your notebook to figuring out exactly what you were trying to accomplish and whether it worked or not. This is a very chaotic video, isn't it? Like, I'm jumping a bit from subject to subject. Anyway, I hope that I made it clear that for sigils, to start making a sigil, you need a sentence of desire. The sentence has to be in present tense and it cannot include any negatives. And I suggest starting from a simple sentence to practice. So, for my sentence, for the practice round, I went to the sentence of I am seeing an elephant on my feed. When I mean feed, I mean YouTube feed. You can specify these kind of things or you can leave them unspecified. And interestingly enough, because my camera tries to focus it, the lighting changes in this video from time to time as well. Now, you take your sentence and you just yeet any vowel. They're just there to fill the space. You don't need them. So I am now gonna be, out of this sentence, I have M, or I am, S and G for seeing, N, elephant. Out of that word, I only have LPHT. On, N, my, M, feed, FD. Now, you want to remove any repeated letters. You only need one letter one time. So M, S, N, G. The next word was N, but because we're removing repeated letters, both A got deleted for being a vowel, and then we now yeeting N for, you know, being repeated. L, P, H, T, we have already yeeted out the N, so elephant does not need another N. That has already been taken care of. On my, both got completely thrown out because O and I got thrown out for being vowels. Then N and M got thrown out for being repeated letters. And FD for feed still stands. So in letters now I have M, S, N, G, P, H, T, F, D. Now what I want to do with those letters is to create a coherent picture. Now mind you, if there is a letter, it can use another letter as its base. So for example, if you're writing a T, you can then put another little line. And it will stand for both a T and an F, because you kind of needed that vertical line, and you use it as a basis for both, so you can connect those letters a bit. So for example, if we had a P and an R, P and then add a little bit, and it becomes an R. It's that simple to create line work with letters. Now, you want this shape to be as simple as possible. This is mine. This is the shape that I made. You can see what I did with the letters. You can see which letter went where. You could actually find the H twice in here if you take a look at it, because the H that kind of melts into the T, I only put there because I did an F in backwards, and then I didn't like how it looked in backwards, so I extended it, and then it became an H, but there was already an H in the body of this. If you can find it, props to you. Anyway, when you have that shape, you can then take another step and simplify it further, because once again, you're effectively making like a pictogram of your sentence for your brain to just embed it into your consciousness. So the simpler the sign, the better. I didn't want to drop any elements, so I left it as it is, and that is perfectly fine. Now, in the traditional sigil making method, I now have my intention. I had made a sigil of my intention. I would then cut out this sigil or like rip out the page, make sure that I can't see the intention with the sigil, and I would just leave it somewhere. Until one day when I would pick it up and go, what is this? And if my brain can't anymore comprehend what it's supposed to be, like I don't have an intention attached to it in my brain anymore. Like I can't be like, oh, that's when I wanted to see an elephant on my feed. If that's still happening, I have to leave it alone for longer. If I can't connect it to my intention at all, I am very confused as to what it is. Perfect. We can then activate the sigil. For activating the sigil, the regular method for this is to be in a state where you could flash it into your brain and absorb it. And there is multiple ways of getting to that state. My favorite go-to way is to just meditating until you reach this trance, not entirely here state, and then you just quickly raise it up and you hold it in front of your mind, in front of your eyes rather, until it just soaks up into your brain case. And that's it for me. That's activated. Some men, now, this is why it became a running joke. It's a bit different if you're a woman, but you can still use this. It became a running joke that men charge their sigils with semen, because one thing that you can do is you can masturbate until you're reaching the orgasm and then flash it in front of your eyes like it's some sort of funny flashcard, to embed it into your brain like that. There are also people that practice the panicking your brain into thinking that you're dying, out of which one of the easiest methods and least dangerous to you, because once again, you don't actually want to hurt yourself, is to hold your breath until you can't hold it anymore, then hold it some more. Until you're definitely in that weird panicky state, then flash it in front of your brain before starting to breathe again. There are obviously multiple ways of getting yourself there. I suggest holding your breath if you're gonna do any of those, because if you pass out while holding your breath, you're just gonna start breathing again. Normally, you can't even pass out by holding your breath, because eventually the need to breathe will definitely kick back in. So if you wanna shock it into your brain, I suggest doing it safely. Now, when you have flashed this in your brain, you want to then destroy the sigil. A regular way of doing this is by burning. Put it on top of the candle flame. I'm not gonna demonstrate it because I don't have anything to destroy right now. And just burn it until it's burned. Like, throw it into some sort of holder that can handle fire fairly well. I show off my altar sometimes. I have this metal cup that also has like an artwork of a skull. It's my burning things cup, because it's metal on the inside. It can actually safely take fire and it's not a fire hazard. Plus, paper is very small, so you light it on fire, you throw it deep in there, and you let it just like burn out. The only issue then, of course, is smoke and fire detectors, which I do have one in my room. So if you are gonna be burning something, I do it close to the window to just get it out of the way. And also, if you are gonna be burning something, make your sigils of like an appropriate size for burning. Like, I wouldn't be burning this whole page. I would just be cutting this out. but I also made it fairly big because this is for YouTube and because, I wanted to be able to hold it close to the screen and show you guys. If I was doing it for myself, I would even make it like smaller to make it easier to burn. Now, obviously, that is not the only way of destroying things. You can destroy it through any method. If you're really vibing with the elements but can't do fire, throw it in water. The paper just like kind of dissolves over time, especially if it's not very sturdy paper. So you can put it underwater and then just like mix it up, rip it up a little bit. You can also just like rip it up and throw it away. The important bit is the destruction. However you can do that is however you can do that. Sometimes ripping away and throwing something out doesn't feel magical enough, hence why a lot of people use fire, but fire dangerous, fire burny. So if you can't do fire, do something else. That is the regular way of using sigils. You can repurpose that for whatever you want. And not everything will you be activating and, destroying afterwards. So, for example, I can use the sigil method to make a sigil for me to meditate on if I want to be contacting a spirit that doesn't tend to normally have a sigil. So in this example, I took Neptune. Paper, please. Need better camera angles for paper. This is gonna be a bit hard, and I'm a bit too close to my own microphone, but I can see that you can see. Please ignore the red splurge. That's probably not blood. Probably. So Neptune. If we remove the vowels, like with the regular sigil method, we're left with NPT. And because I wanted to make it look a bit like a fork, I made this kind of vertical instrument thing. So the T is the base, the P is the handle, and the N just kind of goes above as a squiggly line. So this would be my personal sigil for Neptune if I wanted to meditate on Neptune and I couldn't like get a thing that's connective enough for me. So this is a way of making, once again, a sigil for spirits that don't normally have a sigil. In demonolatry, meditating on sigils comes into the practice very often, and when people find spirits that don't have their own sigils, they wonder what to do. This is not the regular way of doing it, because the regular way of doing it would involve astrology and drawing on like planetary squares, but this is a way of doing it. It's fairly easy and it will work because you are encoding the name of a spirit as a sign, aka a sigil, for you to then use for connection. This is the kind of sigil that I wouldn't be destroying because there isn't any kind of intention that I would be activating here. This isn't a spell that I'm trying to cast. This is just me going, I want a sigil for a spirit to meditate on. So this is how I would do it. I hope that's clear enough. You can also use it for like wards or like any kind of enclosing your own house with magic. So for example, only positive people can pass this threshold. Only good intentions are accepted into this room. That sort of thing. This is like an example sentence that you can then use to then, remove the vowels, do the whole word thing to sigilize. And then because this is your personal word for your space, you would put it somewhere in your space. You would probably, I don't know, paint it on a door, like leave it next to your entrance or things like that, perhaps frame it. Now, if you don't want this to be too noticeable, what you're doing is effectively a squiggle, so you can incorporate it almost like as an author signature on artworks. So let's say I wanted to put up a ward, which is like protection for my house, and it said only positive people can pass this threshold. So I wanted to put it in front of my front door. I could then, I don't know, do a picture of a sunflower, and then instead of an author's signature, I would squiggle up my sigil right at the bottom, and then I would frame it and put it, right next to my doorway, like in the entryway, in the hallway, right next to the outside door. That is one way of doing it. Hypersigils is a bit of a different thing. It is where you're trying to sigilize a fairly complex intention and put it into an artwork that then you spread and use people absorbing and consuming the artwork as the fuel for your effectively ever fueling sigil. I actually used some as my Twitch streams and starting soon screens. Starting soon, be right back, those screens before. Making a hyper sigil, which is like a complex form of artwork with the sigilized intention inside of it that then gets fueled by people's attention. It definitely netted some interesting results, considering the intentions encoded into those, which I'm not gonna share. Interesting results were the only kind of results that it could have possibly have netted, but that was semi-successful. I started incorporating them less over time, and the difference was also felt because I wanted to instead incorporate photography or something that just looks regularly nice. But people that deal with hyper sigils, because effectively you're sigilizing intention, they won't necessarily always like do a normal proper sigil. They will sometimes just like write a poem or draw out their intention, like in actual pictography. And then they will sometimes layer more artwork on top in order to hide it, in order to obscure the intention a little bit, and then they will put it out as an artwork for everyone to see. But that is a bit more advanced. Anyway, I hope that this video helps you with how to create a regular Chaos Magic sigil. I'm sorry that I went on this big of a rant. I hope that it's clear enough. I tried my best. Unfortunately, my ramblings get a bit chaotic. It's a bit on topic for this video though, but yeah. So to reiterate, sentence of desire can't be negative. Always phrase it in the present tense. If you praise it in the future is always in the future, babe. It never comes. Remove vowels. Remove repeated letters. Make a picture out of it. Simplify the picture if picture look too messy. Leave picture alone until you no longer remember what picture be. When you no longer remember what picture be, time to release the picture. That is when you activate it by flashing it into your brain through meditation, orgasm, or oh my god, I'm gonna die kind of sensations. You want to, your brain to not be in your regular brainy state. You want your brain to be in a special state. And those ways work. And then you want to destroy the picture to no longer have it around. Like through fire. Fire works very well. Fire is also kind of magic-y. But if you can't do fire, water. Ripping it apart. So that feels a lot less magic-y. But still, that is how you use sigils. If you want to use sigils for anything else, like making a ward or making a sigil for a spirit that you want to meditate on, you just throw away the activation part entirely. You make it into a thing that you keep in your house permanently and use it for whatever purpose that you build it for. Yeah. I hope The summary helped if the video was too chaotic to follow. Anyway, thank you for watching. If you have any kind of magical questions, please post them in the comment section down below. When people are like, oh yeah, I really liked this thing that you talked about your book, why no video on it? I go, oh yeah, I didn't realize that there was no video on it. And then I go and make it, like this one. If you like my channel, please subscribe. Liking videos is always appreciated, sharing videos is always appreciated. When the video flies, the algorithm kind of takes it with you. If the video doesn't fly, then the algorithm ignores it and leaves it alone for forever, and then it becomes really, really, really sad all by its own. I do need to now mention that my channel also does gaming videos. I am a very small YouTube channel. It happened to be everything that I am. It started out as a gaming channel. If I made more channels than one, I can't guarantee that I would meet the subscription limits for YouTube to allow me to upload whatever kind of videos that I want to upload. Therefore, everything goes on one channel. Very annoying for viewers, very, very, very comfortable for me. So if you like streams, video game essays, or magic, then you came to the right place. Majority of magic videos, though, normally are focused on demons. This one wasn't. But thank you for watching. I hope I'm gonna see you the next time. If you're not too interested in, all that extra bit, but you are interested in this video, share it around. I like attention. Anyway, I do hope that I'm gonna see you the next time. Thank you for watching. See you later. Toodaloo.